Isn't it hypocritical of you that you claim to be representing women's rights and yet your role is really part of this repression against them?
چه درصدی هستن این زنها؟
Well, it's very difficult to know because this is not a democracy and therefore the figures are extremely hard to know. But I would say that this seems like the biggest challenge or one of the biggest challenges to the Islamic regime in the last few decades.
من به این صحبت شما واقعا اعتراض دارم. ابدا این گونه نیست که دموکراتیک نباشه. اینجا از خیلی از کشورهایی که شما میشناسید دموکراتیک تره.
I know that you know that the scale of what's happened here is enormous. It is one of the biggest challenges to the Islamic Republic over the last few decades. Does it not make you think for a moment that, maybe some of your ideas could be outdated and that there are, a lot of young people in Iran who do want to see change?
خیلی راحت انتقاد رو میپذیریم و اگر بعضی از دیدگاه‌هامون قدیمی باشه تجدید نظر میکنیم. اما اگر راجع به حجاب میگید ما حجاب رو یک جور مسئولیت میدونیم. ما حجاب رو یک جور حفاظت در مقابل خشونت میدونیم. خیلی از این حریم هایی که ما داریم برای حفاظت از زن هست و اگر بفهمیم روزی که بعضی از اینها ممکنه به زن صدمه بزنه قطعاً درش تجدید نظر میکنیم.
In response to these protests, there has been a brutal, widespread crackdown that's been pretty relentless. There's been tens of thousands of protesters arrested, according to the state figures. There's also been hundreds that have been beaten and tortured, hundreds more who have been killed. There's reports of sexual assault within the prisons themselves. Several protesters have been executed, several more are sitting on death row. Why? Why such a brutal crackdown?
من خیلی متاسفم که مسائل دروغی رو شما دارید مطرح میکنید. متاسفم که شما تحت تاثیر این رسانه‌ها قرار گرفتید. حتما ازتون دعوت میکنم بمونید تا با وقایع و حقیقت‌های ایران بیشتر آشنا بشید.
Okay, it seems like we're talking from polar opposite realities, I guess. This is one of the hardest places I've ever worked as a journalist. We are followed everywhere. The police stop us from talking to anyone. A lot of other people are terrified to speak with us, as they rightly should be. Why are you making it so difficult for journalists to report the truth?
و همین که شما الان تونستید با افرادی صحبت کنید که حرف‌هایی زدن که مخالف حکومت بوده، دلیل بر این هست که جو امنیتی غالب نیست.
Just one day after our conversation with the Vice President was when we found our van suddenly surrounded by a team of Iran's security forces. A gun was held to our head and everything was taken from us. Later that night, while in detention, they told us they suspected we were working under false pretenses. The next day, we were instructed to leave the country. It was an abrupt end to our time in Iran. A stark reminder that freedom and truth are so far from reach here, and that the regime's power and vulnerability lies in their ability to silence voices, most disturbingly of their own people.